As the battle for Ukraine continues on, we're seeing a ton of propaganda out of both sides. Everything that I've been seeing always kind of makes me raise my eyebrow. Some of it I am finding out is very old. It's from prior conflicts. Some of it is coming from video games. Some of these are just stories and headlines that our copy and paste media is just picking up and running with. And so we have to analyze these things with a kind of a very focused set of glasses to make sure we're skeptical about what's going on. But I came across a very interesting story that was an exclusive to a woman from ITV News, and she is sharing this document that leaked out, allegedly, from Russia, showing that they are preparing for a massive medical emergency, basically subpoenaing their doctors and saying, you better get your butts ready because it is about to blow. And so I want to go through this because, well, there's some interesting questions that come out if this thing is fake, if it's a propaganda piece that is being spread about by the Russians or by the Ukraine people, or it could be even more interesting if it in fact is true, because what is this major medical emergency that the Russians are preparing for? Let's take a look at Twitter. This story comes from Emma Burrows. Emma Burrows has the exclusive, says, I have been given a copy of a document issued today by the Russian Ministry of Health. Right? We're going to learn a little bit more about Emma here, but it says it indicates Russia is anticipating a massive medical emergency, has ordered health organizations to immediately identify medical staff ready to relocate and work. And so that is a big sort of claim. If they're saying, look, there's going to be something really bad that happens here. We've got nuclear weapons. We've got all sorts of major munitions that can cause a lot of damage and catastrophe. We're talking about very precarious positions with Chernobyl and other locations where there's been a lot of bloodshed over the last several decades. And so the idea that Russia is bracing for impact raises some eyebrows. This is what the document looks like. Now, of course, I don't speak Russian, but I do look at a lot of official documents. That I can tell you. You can see here, if we break this up, we're trying to sort of, tease out, is this stuff real? Is this propaganda? Is this just, stuff that is floating around on the internet? It's hard to tell. If you zoom in a little bit at the top half of this document, you can see you've got a barcode. Don't know, if you could scan that and sort of decipher what that says or where that leads you. But we've got some other headers. We've got some areas where you might write some stuff, like a confirm you received it, confirm it was sent, got that memo. Yep, got it. And then you can see sort of some headlines. Now, we are going to get the translation from the woman who posted this. You can see this is signed off on by somebody here. And then it looks like it was also stamped. And so we're going to see if we can sort of piece out exactly what's going on here. But you will notice that in the sort of the appendix section of the documents, there's a list. We've got a number of different things, and she's going to explain what this is, but just so we can see what we're talking about. We've got a list of different, we're going to see sort of, I think, medical types or types of doctors. They want names, phone numbers, and locations is essentially what this list is, all right? We need a radiologist. So who is it? What's his name? Is he willing to relocate? What's going on, right? They're sort of assembling a list. Here is another portion of that. And so Miss Burrows, you can see here, is a news editor over from ITV News over at ITN. She's a former CNN field producer based in Moscow, speaks Russian and Spanish, right? And so this has sort of been something that has been, very challenging, covering a lot of the news that's coming out of this situation. Well, a lot of it, is sort of, it's difficult to timestamp. We don't know if this is old. We don't know if it's real or propaganda, and it's in a different language. And so even when we're listening to things, right, we're having a difficult time. People are summarizing things or saying stuff is what it isn't. And so it's really hard to sort of tease it all out. This woman speaks Russian, okay, according to her bio, CNN.com, still in the bio there. And so let's see what she says about that document. She says, this document is from the Russian Ministry of Health, signed by Deputy Health Minister. We're going to take a look at who that is in the next slide. She didn't put his name here, but we have him because she put him in the article. It says it asks medical organizations ready to be, quote, promptly involved in activities aimed at saving lives and preserving the health of people in Russia. Uh-oh. So in Russia is what we're talking about. So she has that there in quotes. So could this be something that comes from Ukraine or from Russia? Now, she says she received it from Russia. She says Russian medical institutions have been ordered by health ministry to send a list no later than in the past, right, obviously gone, to a deputy health minister of, quote, medical specialists, medical workers, indicating their full name, place of work, positions, and contact details, right? That's the chart that we were just talking about. Document from the Russian Ministry of Health makes it clear these medics will be deployed somewhere, quote, as reimbursement of travel and accommodation expenses, as well as payment of labor is expected from the funds of the Federal Center of Medical Disasters. And so you go, okay, right, this is sort of escalating the medical response threshold, right? They're saying things are going to get bad and we need you to be on high alert. Start aggregating medical teams to respond to this. And this is the person who is responsible for allegedly writing this memo, right? Coming out of Russia. Couldn't find much about this guy, right? Really limited availability on articles, but this is allegedly who wrote it. Plutnitsky Andrei Nikolaevich. Right. And we saw sort of an A in the signature name. And so she's saying this is who it came from. He is a newbie. That's why. He just got appointed August 2020, got appointed to the head of the Department of Project Activity of the Russian Ministry of Health. So he's held that position for some time. He's appointed the acting head of the Moscow edition. This is what he looks like, a full shot of the guy. Here's another article that comes out from Vadimikym, which is a business magazine about the healthcare industry, right? These are sort of industry magazines. And so you can see they had a piece about him, but that's it. There's not too much else about him. Russia's health ministry, according to the actual article that Emma Burrows wrote, says the letter has a long list of the people that they're looking for. And so on that sort of chart that they were supposed to fill out, they have listed there trauma, heart, maxillofacial, pediatric surgeons, so surgeons. We've got anesthesiologists, radiologists, nursing, including for operating rooms, infectious disease experts. Well, that's interesting. The letter to the Russian Ministry of Health is clearly anticipating a major medical event in which doctors have to be drafted from across the country. Letter is signed by Plutnitsky. Okay, so you see where that name comes from. Once again, here is what those charts look like. Big list of experts. And so one of the questions, of course, is, well, what kind of event are they thinking about? If it's going to be sort of a nuclear explosion, you don't need a lot of people fixing broken bones because there aren't any broken bones, unfortunately. So is this a ground war they're preparing for? Is this a medical outbreak of some variety because they have some medical expert and specialists? And so is this a real document? And are they bracing for something because they know that they are going to do something that will cause a response? Is this propaganda from Ukraine trying to show that the Russian people or the Russian administration is scared? A lot of questions. And so Emma Burrows continues, says they show that they're clearly preparing for a big deal. The order has been issued as Russian forces attempt to advance on Kyiv. And we've been following that. I understand doctors were gathered together yesterday and told to, quote, get ready. Today, the document arrived. She says, I am told this is highly unusual and almost unprecedented, right? And this woman, it sounds like she's got some strong connections to some people who kind of know what's going on here. Like they're saying, yeah, this is a little bit strange. She confirms a Ukrainian military official who have been engaging in propaganda, just like the Russians have, has just told me this document could indicate medics are being drafted to assist with casualties from Russia's invasion in Ukraine. The official said one reading of the document is that Russia did not expect a level of resistance from Ukraine, right? Saying that we're doing such a good job that the Russians are having massive casualties that they weren't expecting. So you could see how that could be a moral superiority victory for Ukraine, which why they might have an interest in proffering it forward. This would tally with reports from a senior U.S. defense official who said that there is, in fact, greater resistance by Ukrainians and that Russia is not moving and has lost a little bit of their momentum. Exclusive Russian Ministry of Health documents indicates how Russia is preparing for an event. Now, the document does not refer to Ukraine and references, quote, saving lives in Russia, right? So what would it have to do then with the assault within the borders of Ukraine, unless they're shipping a bunch of bodies back into Russia and they need to assemble the soldiers or the medical team to deal with the incoming soldiers? Emma asks the Russian officials if it is true that Russia is preparing for a mass casualty event, and if this is because Russia has been met with more resistance, waiting for a response. Don't hold your breath, I'm sure. Ukrainian military official told me they think the document demonstrates they are winning. They wanted to make a blitzkrieg operation. They couldn't have finished it. So Ukraine very happy about it, sort of spiking the football. Expressing concern, Ukrainian military official told me one interpretation is that Putin has the intention to go until the end, despite huge losses of personnel, right? And that's the other way to read that. He's saying, yeah, well, maybe there is enough resistance that we are going to escalate this, and the first wave didn't do it, so it's time to now go all in. And we're seeing a lot of other reports that they're running out of fuel and abandoning convoys on the side of the road. So it's hard to make heads or tail of what is happening here. Emma continues, says, despite the strength of the international sanctions, there is concern that they will not deter Putin from invading Ukraine. The preparations by Russia to recruit the medical staff being interpreted as a sign that this could get even more bloody, very bloody. So we have now the foreign minister of Ukraine. The guy is Dmytro. Says, according to intelligence, he posted this February 25th, as you can see, says Russia plans a massive false operation to dehumanize Ukrainians and accuse Ukraine of alleged human inactions. Don't trust the fake news. Unlike Russia, we don't target kindergartens and civilians, right? And so we see the battle is even now going on to Twitter, talking about fake news, false flag operations, and more. We have Carl Schreck now is saying Russia might even be engaged in an example of this. That saying Ukrainian soldiers are being lynched for refusing to fight, right? So now you're sort of seeing the opposite article come out. From Moscow, this is being reported that Ukrainian extremists are carrying out lynchings and massacres against their servicemen who are just giving up. Multiple cases recorded of massacres and reprisals, and those Ukrainian servicemen who laid down their arms to talk. Okay, right? So you see kind of the same argument, but opposite. One argument is that the Ukrainian resistance is so strong that Russia is experiencing massive casualties, and so they need a big medical team to come and deal with that. Another sort of article comes out from the Russians saying, oh no, the Ukrainians are giving up. Their faith has been shattered. And so now they are engaging in atrocities in order to rally support and basically force people to fight. So it sounds like both sides are trying to have a battle of the wills, right? Kind of demoralize each side. And so we don't know, right? Who's putting what out, or where these videos came from, or how old they are, or whether anybody is actually being truthful in their reporting at all. And so we will continue to talk about this. Obviously, it's one of the more interesting developments in recent news, of course. Absolutely tragic. Anytime there's war, there is death and mayhem. And of course, we don't wish that on anybody. But we also want to make sure that the people who are trying to tell us that the United States has to get ultra involved in this and drop everything from both sides of the aisle, the Democrats and the Republicans. I'm seeing people screaming for action, drop everything and engage in a pretext for another world war. Got to make sure that they are being honest and open and transparent with us before we race in and follow them into yet another foreign policy blunder. Let me know what you think about this. Let me hear from your comments down in the comments section below. I would love it if you subscribed before we got out of here. We have a live show that we do weekdays, and it's a lot better when you join us. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.